Good morning. The shoe I'm wearing this morning has been long awaited by me, thanks to the most convoluted release of a shoe I think I've ever seen. Thanks Adidas. Today I'm running in the Adidas Evo SL. This shoe actually was first released at the Berlin Marathon last year in September. A lot of people got a chance to run in it, but it wasn't really available for sale at that point. Then in December, there was kind of a limited release, and I was trying to get a shoe then, but I couldn't get one. Then I heard the release date was actually supposed to be in March, but like 2 days ago, I just saw that this shoe appeared on Adidas's website, and I was able to get a pair. So, very strange way to release a shoe, but in waiting that little bit longer, I ended up with the third colorway. Everybody's seen the white and black that looks like the Evo SL, or the Pro Evo 1 for that matter, the $500 elite race shoe. Then they came out with the black and white. I think both of those are kind of classy looking and a nice looking shoe, but I went for the highlighter yellow and black. When I came out of my house today, my daughter said that I look like one of those child at play signs that people put in their yard so you don't run over their kids when they're playing in the street. So if I get hit by a car today, it's completely on them. I mean, I'm as fluorescent as I can be today. It's a gloomy day, and these shoes are channeling their inner Rihanna. They're shining bright like a diamond right now. My marathon training plan calls for me to do a 35-minute easy run today because I'm supposed to do a long run tomorrow. So they're giving me a little bit of a break, but I think I'm gonna have a couple problems today. This is a light, bouncy shoe. It's gonna be hard to run slow, and I think I'm really gonna enjoy them, and I'm gonna probably wanna run for more than 35 minutes, but I guess we'll see how this goes. If you've watched other reviews on my channel, you'll know that I'm a pretty big fan of Adidas in general. I find that their shoes fit me really well. They have a lot of really good properties to them. But the history of Lightstrike Pro and what they've been doing recently is kind of interesting. Lightstrike Pro I've had in the Takumi Sen 8, where that shoe had their rods in it, but it wasn't the carbon rods. It's like the fiberglass type plasticky rods. And then they also put the carbon rods in some of their shoes with Lightstrike Pro, like the Adidas Pro 3. And generally you only get a full slab of Lightstrike Pro with the more expensive race kind of centered shoes. So that was like the Takumi Sen, the Adidas Pro. And then they'll do combinations of Lightstrike Pro with other foams in some of the training shoes. So you never really get just a strict layer of Lightstrike Pro, and if you do, it always has some sort of stiffening agent in it, some form of their carbon rods or the non-carbon rods. So this is the first time I've ever run in a shoe that has a full midsole of Lightstrike Pro, and again, it's the Lightstrike Pro, the old version, not the new version that's in the AP4. The Adidas Pro 4's version of Lightstrike Pro, a lot softer and bouncier, also lighter. But if you've watched my reviews of that shoe, I think it's a fast, light, awesome race shoe. But again, I'm a larger runner. I'm 6'4", 230 pounds. That foam is just too soft for me when I run for long distances. So for like a 5K, 10K, that shoe is a speedster, but I don't think I could take it up to a marathon because the foam is too soft. So this goes back to the classic recipe. And Adidas also uses Continental rubber. That's like their top tier outsole. And again, they usually only put that on their highest tier, most expensive shoes. This shoe has an entire outsole of Continental rubber. It has an entire midsole of Lightstrike Pro, and it's only $150 brand new. So I think value for the money, they're putting a lot of their top technologies in this shoe at kind of a bargain basement entry-level running shoe price. Adidas also did that last year with the SL2, another daily trainer that I have. That one though has a combination of the Lightstrike Pro and a different foam, which is what they normally do in a training type shoe. So that's the other question with this shoe, is what exactly is it for? Is it a daily trainer? Is it a tempo shoe? Could you use it for racing? So I'm gonna put some miles in it and try and answer some of those questions. Some first impressions though, just slipping this on my foot, there's definitely length to the shoe. I get a 12, I'm a 12 in normal shoes. I'm either a 12 or 12 and a half in running shoes. I'm pretty much always good with the 12 for Adidas. These ones too, you can see where my big toe is. It ends right about there. So that's pretty much right where I want it to be. I have a little bit of room before I get to the front of the shoe. But also, this is actually a pretty generous toe box for an Adidas shoe. Adidas shoes typically run on the narrow side. I think if someone has a little bit of a wider foot, this might be the most accommodating Adizero shoe that I've worn. It's definitely got room in the toe box. You can really kind of wiggle your toes. There's space side to side in there as well. To me though, that might actually make this a little bit harder to dial in and run fast, but we'll see. I have a little bit more room in the upper than I need, but also it's a spacious, comfortable upper to be in. I also like that this has the eyelets of the Adidas Pro 4, which are very comfortable along the laces there. And there's a lot of padding in the tongue as well. It goes right down the middle and then also in the top part right here. So the tongue is very comfortable. You can tie the laces down tight over it. You're not going to get any lace. Okay, so don't take this shoe on an easy run. It will not be easy. that first mile, I think I ran in under 7 minutes. These are great. I've tried enough shoes now where if I wear them for like 1 mile, I'm like, yep, it's good. Maybe it has potential or it sucks. These ones immediately I'm like, that's what I'm looking for. So what I'm really liking about this shoe, I love the original formula of Lightstrike Pro. I think it might be the best Superfoam for me. Again, I keep mentioning my size and weight. This is something that's actually pretty important. Not all runners are the same. A shoe that works for someone who is 5'1" and 98 pounds and runs 4:30 mile pace is not going to be a good shoe for me. I'm a giant person that weighs 100 pounds more than that elite athlete who's a sprightly gazelle. I'm more like a water buffalo, like going over the plains here. So I need a little bit more support. I need a little bit more stability than a smaller runner would. So that's also something that's important. When you're looking at these reviews that people do online, take a look at their other videos. See if you have similar preferences to them, because everybody has an opinion about shoes, and by definition an opinion is not a fact. It's the way I feel about it. Now, you may agree with me, you may disagree with me, you may love shoes that I love, you may hate shoes that I love. Doesn't mean either of us are wrong. Different things work better for different people. So really what I would say is look at the body of work. You know, watch some other videos for anybody who you're watching reviews of and see what are their preferences, what kind of shoes do they like. And generally, if you agree with them, it means you're probably going to agree with their reviews. But at the same time, if you disagree with everything someone says, you might not want to take their recommendation. I'll also give another example of that. I'm also a fan of craft beer, and I'll often see people reviewing an IPA, which is a beer that's full of hops, and someone might be like, this beer is too hoppy. It's supposed to be hoppy. It's an IPA. So, you know, if your preference is you don't like hoppy beers, I shouldn't take your recommendation for what beers you like. So the ride of these is just great. It's just pure bounce and smoothness. And again, what I like about this Lightstrike Pro Foam is it's not too soft. It has a really pleasant amount of bounce without being too squishy. So the properties of this is almost the second it hits the ground, it depresses a little bit and then wants to spring right back. So you get a nice amount of energy return without as much travel in the midsole as like Fuel Cell foam from New Balance, where that one really squishes a lot. So you do get bounce and energy return, but I feel like when I run in those shoes, it actually kind of slows me down and makes it harder for me to run fast because I'm compressing the shoe too much. So these ones are very light and nimble, and they just want to get you rolling, bouncing up on your toes. So as I said before, not a good shoe for an easy day. It's going to be hard for me to run slower than 7:30. I think I'm going to be running like low 7s this whole run just because that's where the shoe wants to live. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I should have brought my sunglasses, and I think I'm going to get these in black as well. Damn. I was right in my prediction. I've now finished exactly a 5K. I stopped my watch at 3.1 miles. I averaged a 7:27 pace, so I ran 23:09 for a 5K, where I literally was just trying to run easy zone 2 conversational pace, not putting any effort into the shoes. And these had me running like a minute faster per mile than like my normal easy pace. Wow. So as I kind of predicted, not an easy day shoe. If you want to run slow in these, it's going to be hard because they are on the lighter side. They're not the lightest shoe I have. I'll double check the exact weight when I get back. I think in my size they're like 9 point something ounces, where when you get close to 8, that's almost as light as they get in my size. I have a couple shoes that are just under 8 ounces, but anything under 10 is still light for me. But just the bounce and the energy return I'm getting from these is like perfect for me, where it's not propelling me up, it's really propelling me forward. So I'm getting that forward bounce, and like I said, I'm not sinking into the shoe too much, so I don't feel like I'm bottoming it out. I feel like it's being very efficient for me. I'm not wasting that impact force. It's going right into the foam and then back into the bounce. The rocker of this is also not as aggressive as the Adidas Pro 4, so the transitions in this, especially with no plate, just feel really smooth and effortless. So you're just cruising along, and that nice responsive bounce just relieves the effort for you, making it easier to go that faster pace. Now I'm almost kind of wondering if maybe I should take these for a marathon. I'll have to do a long run and see if later in the run the lack of that stiffening agent makes a difference. Sometimes in those later miles in a marathon, it's nice to have a plate in there to kind of get you through those last couple miles. But just cruising around in these feels fantastic, and I will turn up the pace towards the end of the run, see what kind of speed I can get up to in these. But I would imagine these to be an excellent tempo shoe as well. All right, I'm gonna show my age here a little bit. I was just running along, and Hall & Oates, "You Make My Dreams Come True" came on, and I'm just bouncing along in my stride like 726, and that song and the beat and the bounce was just absolutely perfect. So I was in bouncing along, listen to this, dude, and making my dreams come true for a easy effort but quicker speed. So if you couldn't tell from earlier in that video, that first run in these was absolutely amazing. I did 6 miles in 7:34 average pace. I got up to 4:58 pace at the end, just over 12 miles an hour when I kind of sprinted at the end there. So these can definitely turn up the pace. Recently I've had some runs that have kind of made me sad. You know, at the end of the run, I'm like, why am I doing this? This was tough. You know, I was out here for a long time. It's freezing. I'm not having a good time. I had a run like that in the Glycerin Max. It's a comfortable shoe, but it's heavy. It's not exciting. And, you know, I did a long run in it, and I was just like, why am I out here today? This shoe was like, yeah, I'm out here today. And it was nice to, you know, get some endorphins kicking in and really enjoy my run today, which was a breath of fresh air for me. Then I came home, I had a protein shake, I made myself an omelet, I had a Celsius, and I got some caffeine going as well, so feeling good right now. I feel like recently Adidas is absolutely killing it and giving us some great values as well. This shoe is the SL2, which came out last year. This shoe is only $129 new, and it has a full layer of Lightstrike Pro, but this is surrounded by the traditional Lightstrike, but it's the softer version of it, like the Lightstrike 2.0. But this is just a bouncy, kind of explosive shoe that you wouldn't expect from that price point. And then this one being $150, but getting the full Lightstrike Pro midsole and a full Continental rubber outsole, where this one just has kind of a generic rubber that's unnamed by Adidas. Also kind of renders this one obsolete, because for $20 more, this one just is so much better. One thing where the SL2 struggled a little bit was with stability. It does have a pretty narrow heel. This one, the heel is a little bit wider, but it feels a lot more stable than this shoe. So anybody that overpronates, that could be an issue with this shoe, whereas this one feels a lot more stable to me. Also, if you look at the toe box, you'll see what I was talking about on the run. This one is much more generous in the toe box than most Adidas shoes. This kind of comes up a little bit high in the front. There's a lot of volume there, and my toes really come to right about here in there. So I'm not quite touching the front of the shoe here, whereas with the Pro 4, I was like really under the front here, which made it a little bit too tight of a fit. So in a 12, the AP4 is a little bit too short for me, where this one is perfect. This has a non-gusseted tongue, so it is just kind of sitting loose in there, but the laces go through it, and I find once I got my foot in here, it tied it down. I didn't have any tongue slide or anything like that, and I really do like the tongue in this shoe. There's padding in the middle here, and then it comes up to the top all the way where you tie the laces, which is something that I kind of complained about with this one. They give you padding all the way up, and then right where you tie the laces, the padding stops. So with this one, the padding makes it all the way up to the top where it's actually useful to be padded. And then obviously this one being more of a trainer focus than a racer, has more padding in the back here around the heel. I'm getting a really good heel lockdown. This also does have stability in the heel. This is a hard plastic kind of counter in there that you can't just flop over, whereas this one, being the race shoe, is completely flexible in the heel end. You can feel that this is a lighter shoe, and the big difference really, the explosion and the stability. So pros and cons of this shoe: it's so fast, it's so bouncy, it's so explosive, it's got that stiffness of the rods in there, but this foam is just so compressive that you get a lot of energy return. But to me, I took this on a 10-mile race recently, and towards the end of the race, I really was not feeling good in the shoe. I was sinking into it too much, and I did have some pressure points in the front where it's kind of too short for my foot here, and I had some pain in the heel and also underneath the forefoot. So for me, I still think this is a great race shoe, but I could really only use it for short distances. It doesn't work for me for a marathon. Now, the Adios Pro 3 has kind of been my go-to marathon shoe. 2 of the 4 marathons I've done have been in this shoe. I wore an older version of this for the New York City Marathon in 2022, and I just wore this one for Chicago in 2024. And this has that traditional Lightstrike Pro, which is the same foam that's in this shoe, but this one has the full-length carbon rods, which makes it a much stiffer shoe, whereas this one is more bendable. But it actually, the torsional rigidity of it's pretty good. It's not very loose. I kind of prefer the proportions of this upper, the way that it fits my foot, a little better than this shoe, but this also is better eyelets. I like the way that these are stitched in. It's kind of hard to see with the light there, how these eyelets are compared to these ones. So this shoe's a lot easier to just lace up and go than the Adios Pro 3. This can be a little bit more fussy, but the difference in weight between these is minimal. I think this one's like 9.15 and this is 9.49, so it's pretty close. Now, I'm not going to say this is the best running shoe ever made, but for $150 brand new at retail, this is the best running shoe ever made. For that price, it's amazing the amount that you're getting for that money. A full midsole of Superfoam, full Continental rubber outsole, which goes on forever. I have 200 miles in my one Adios Pro 3. The outsole still holds up perfectly. Lightstrike Pro is one of the most resilient foams that goes on for hundreds of miles. So just the bounce, the energy return, the grip of this shoe, the fit of it is comfortable and accommodating. It could definitely be used as a daily shoe. I think its only weaknesses are that you can't really use it for slow miles. So you need at least one other shoe in your rotation to be your recovery shoe. But this can cover pretty much everything else. From tempo runs, I would race in this shoe. It's got the energy return for that. It's light enough for that. The grip is fantastic from this Continental rubber. And then the other thing is the fit of the upper could be a pro or a con depending on the volume of your foot. I think if someone has a wider foot or a little bit more volume in your foot, this upper is actually a lot more spacious than what you usually get from an Adidas shoe. So I think this will kind of fit the masses very well. But if you have kind of more of a narrow foot or you like a tighter racing fit, this is actually a little bit too spacious in the toe box. But I have a feeling you're going to see a 50-mile review from me on these very soon, because I'm going to want to wear these almost every time I go out on a run. They just gave me such a pleasant experience today. It was nice to just go out there and enjoy my run and have a good time, because that's not always the case in marathon training. A lot of times it's a daily slog and you're not motivated to go out there and run, but these made me want to run today, and I want to put them on and wear them again right now. So let me know if you've been able to run in the Evo SL yet, or if you were like me having a difficult time trying to get one. But go to Adidas's website right now. As of today, at least, they're still available on Adidas's website. Looks like they do have some at Dick's Sporting Goods. So again, I think the real release is supposed to be March, but they're here for some reason. So if you want to give it a shot, I definitely think there's a lot worse ways to spend $150. I think the value for money makes this one of the best shoes I've tried in quite some time. So again, let me know how you feel about it in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.